There's a clear parallel between our irrational behaviors as consumers with an array of irrational behaviors we see in nature. Let's take the example of the male elk. In an effort to signal out his superior gene to females passing by, the male elk must grow huge antlers made of bone, weighing 40 pounds in only 3 months. How inconvenient and irrational. Well, that is also the case with the male peacock tail, which is not only inconvenient, but also fatally risky as it's visible to predators. And so is the brighter coloration of many other male birds. It is in the same manner that the job applicants signal out their personal traits to uninformed potential employers through the irrational behavior of overpaying for irrelevant higher education. Male animals signal out their personal traits to uninformed potential female mating partners through the irrational behavior of overpaying for irrelevant trait signals. In today's marketplace, male humans are driven by the same motives, and taking the place of the asymmetrical, colorful, costly, awkward, high-maintenance, hard-to-fake trait signaling of the peacock tail is a product like the luxury car, evident by the fact that 9 out of 10 Ferrari buyers are males. It's clear that in nature, there has always been advertising, just like there's one in today's marketplace. And it's in no way limited to males trying to attract females. There are also plenty of other examples like that of the rattlesnake, which signals out its viciousness to potential predators through the irrationally blown out of proportion noise of its rattle. In fact, flowers are yet another form of advertising. Many plants reproduce through a process called pollination, in which they must attract animals to carry pollen between flowers. Accordingly, flowers' beautiful colors are just their way of signaling to pollinators that they have the best nutrition. You see, for us as consumers, when S1 takes over our thinking process, we allow for our intuition and instincts to take over for our decision-making. Such intuition has been naturally pre-wired into our brain's biological blueprint through thousands of years of evolution. And to understand how evolution affects our behavior, we must look through the science of evolutionary psychology. Just as our evolutionary biology explains how our organic parts have specific functions based on adaptations through the processes of natural selection and sexual selection, evolutionary psychology explains how certain human behaviors were shaped as a result of similar adaptations. Our irrational consumer behavior stems from our intuitive need to signal out certain traits about our individual self to help us either survive and/or reproduce. For instance, to reproduce, a male human needs to convince a female human of his willingness to commit, and they do so through the purchase of a diamond ring, which only became the universal symbol of such a commitment in 1947, through an ad written by the advertising copywriter Francis Garrity, and the line, "A diamond is forever." Hence, the irrational behavior of Brits overpaying for luxurious toilet paper, along with that of the Prussians and the Soviets, is not because they were shallow humans. As ecologist and fellow Adman Ethan Decker puts it, we aren't superficial creatures, we are symbolic ones. Therefore, it's never about the functionality of the diamond ring as a product. It's what the diamond brand signals out, just like it's not about the functionality of a luxury car as a product, but what its brand signals out. Hence, research shows that the same man would be rated as more attractive when shown in a Bentley versus a Ford Fiesta, while other research showed that driving a Porsche would raise the testosterone levels in men. It's also not about the functionality of a gift, but how much its brand signals out one's willingness to initiate a reciprocal relationship. As humans, we are communal animals, and we establish relationships with love partners, employers, family members, colleagues, and friends by signaling out our individual traits through the brands we choose to purchase. And it's in the same manner that an Instagram influencer chooses the brand of his attire to signal out his fashion sense to his followers. A professor like Dr. Noam Chomsky chooses his attire not necessarily based on its utility-maximizing functionality, but for what it signals out about his trustworthiness and probably lack of interest in materialism. The trigger for such irrational behaviors is natural evolution. It is not advertising. As evolutionary psychologist Dr. Gad Saad puts it, had marketers and advertisers been able to socialize the human brain into the irrational decisions it has been making in the marketplace, then we would have had the near infinite ability to socialize consumers into endless new patterns of consumption. Today, as you're grocery shopping, there's an average of 39,500 products at the store. Now, just imagine how stressful it would have been if, just like in econ, you had to elaborate on the functionality of each one. Advertising makes the navigation of such a world more joyful and less stressful. For we are not econs. We are symbolic mothers, siblings, couples, colleagues, friends, and job applicants, constantly trying to survive and reproduce by signaling out our personal traits. And since we are no longer in nature, we need brands and advertising to do so.